Think about it. You've spent your entire life giving, giving to your family, your friends, your job, even to strangers. You sacrifice time, energy, and dreams to fulfill responsibilities, to keep everything around you intact. But now, as old age quietly settles in, you look back and wonder, where did all that energy go? Who is giving back to me now? The truth, and it's a hard truth, is that very few people will. Not because they're heartless, but because life never slows down. The younger generation is caught up in their own struggles, their own pursuits, their own dreams. And if you spend your final years chasing their approval, trying to remain relevant in their world, you'll only find yourself drained, disappointed, and quietly resentful. So it's time. After everything, turn your focus inward. Let these years be about you. No longer the one who sacrifices without question. No longer exhausted from trying to meet everyone else's expectations. And most importantly, embrace silence. Not because you have nothing left to say, but because you finally realized that not everyone deserves your energy anymore. Here, you don't need to like or subscribe. But if you believe this content has value, share your story or simply type number 9. Because sometimes, one small action can help someone find exactly what they need. Now, let's explore why focusing on yourself and staying silent might just be the greatest gift you can give yourself in this chapter of life. Number 1. Focus on yourself. Let's get one thing straight. Focusing on yourself isn't selfish. It's survival. After decades of giving, sacrificing, and bending over backward for others, you reach a point where you have to ask, who's taking care of me? The answer, no one will do it better than you. See, life has a funny way of teaching us priorities. In your younger years, you're busy building careers, families, friendships. You pour energy into everyone around you, believing that one day, all that effort will circle back. But as you age, you realize something sobering. People move on. Kids grow up. Friends get caught in their own lives, and the world keeps spinning, with or without you. That's why old age isn't the time to chase approval or stretch yourself thin trying to please everyone. It's the time to reclaim everything you gave away. Your energy, your peace, your dreams. Think of it like this. If you don't put yourself first now, when will you? Focusing on yourself doesn't mean cutting people off or shutting out the world. It means prioritizing your own well-being, mentally, physically, and emotionally. It's about setting boundaries without guilt, saying no without explanation, choosing rest over obligations that leave you drained. Imagine waking up and asking, what do I need today? Not who needs me. It's a shift in mindset, one that turns every remaining moment into an investment in your own happiness. Take your health, for example. After 70, your body demands respect. Regular walks, balanced meals, and good sleep aren't luxuries, they're necessities. The same goes for your mind. Feed it with books you enjoy, conversations that uplift you, and quiet moments that ground you. And don't forget your heart. Let go of relationships that feel like work. Stop chasing people who only remember you when they need something. True connections will survive even when you start prioritizing yourself. Here's the truth. The world won't fall apart if you stop showing up for everyone else. But you might, if you keep ignoring your own needs. So, focus on yourself unapologetically. Do the things you've always postponed, the hobbies, the travel, even the quiet afternoons. Doing nothing. You've earned it. And if anyone tries to make you feel guilty for choosing peace, remember this. You've spent a lifetime giving. Now it's time to receive from yourself. Because when you finally focus on yourself, life doesn't shrink. It expands. You rediscover joy, clarity, and the kind of peace that comes from knowing you're no longer living for everyone else. And that's freedom. Now take a moment. What's one thing you've been putting off for the sake of others? Maybe it's a health checkup, a solo trip, or even just saying no to an exhausting obligation. Whatever it is, start today. Because if not now, when? Let's move on to the next truth that will reshape your golden years. Number 2. Silence is power. Let's talk about silence. Not the awkward kind. Not the kind that comes from feeling ignored or left out. I'm talking about the silence that comes from wisdom, the silence that says, I don't need to explain myself anymore. When you're younger, you feel this constant urge to speak up, to defend your choices, to explain your side of the story, to prove your worth. You argue, you debate, you try to make people see things your way. Why? Because you believe that if you explain it well enough, they'll understand. But here's the truth life teaches you, especially as you grow older. Most people don't listen to understand. They listen to respond. They've already made up their minds. That's why silence is so powerful. It's not about giving up. It's about choosing where to spend your energy. Think about it. How many times have you exhausted yourself trying to explain your decisions to someone who had no intention of changing their opinion? How often have you walked away from a conversation feeling drained, not heard? Silence stops that cycle. It's a boundary. It says, I respect myself too much to argue about things that don't matter. Silence also reveals the truth about people. When you stop explaining, you start observing. You see who respects you without constant justification. You notice who truly listens when you speak, and who's just waiting for their turn to talk. And here's something interesting. Silence unsettles those who rely on control. They expect you to defend yourself, to react. When you don't, they lose their power over you. That's why silence is strength. It's the quiet confidence of someone who no longer needs approval. It's the peace that comes from knowing you don't owe anyone an explanation for how you choose to live your life. But silence is an isolation. It doesn't mean shutting out the world. It means speaking only when it truly matters, when your words can build, clarify, or uplift. A wise person once said, never explain yourself. Your friends don't need it, and your enemies won't believe it anyway. So, why waste energy convincing people who've already decided what they think? In your golden years, silence becomes one of your greatest allies. It protects your peace. It filters out meaningless noise. It keeps you grounded while the world around you rushes in every direction. So, the next time someone tries to pull you into an argument or questions your choices, just pause, breathe, and choose silence. It's not weakness. It's wisdom. And when you embrace that silence, you'll notice something incredible. Life becomes lighter. Conversations become more meaningful. And you finally feel free. Now, let's move on to the third truth, the one that will change how you approach every relationship in your life. Number 3, let go of the need for approval. Let me ask you something. How much of your life have you spent trying to make other people happy? Trying to meet expectations, avoid judgment, or prove your worth? If you're honest with yourself, the answer is probably too much. It starts early. We're taught to be good kids, respectable adults, and responsible members of society. And somewhere along the way, we confuse being respected with being liked. We think if people approve of us, we must be doing something right. But here's the harsh truth. No matter what you do, someone will always disapprove. You'll never be thin enough, smart enough, generous enough, or quiet enough for everyone. That's because their opinions aren't really about you. They're about them, their beliefs, insecurities, and experiences. So why keep chasing approval that will never be enough? After 70, it's time to drop that weight. The need for approval is like carrying a heavy chain. It keeps you tied to choices that don't serve you, just because you're afraid of what someone might think. But here's the thing, those people, they're too busy worrying about their own lives to think about yours for long. Letting go of the need for approval doesn't mean becoming cold or uncaring. It means living according to your values, not someone else's standards. It means choosing what feels right for you, even if it doesn't make sense to others. Think about it. Have you ever agreed to something just to avoid conflict? Stayed silent when you should have spoken up? Or done something you hated just to please someone else? How did it feel afterward? Probably draining, frustrating, and a little bit like you betrayed yourself. Now imagine the opposite. Imagine saying no without guilt, wearing what you like, speaking your truth, and making choices that bring you peace. Imagine living each day without wondering if someone will approve of how you spent it. That's real freedom. Here's the truth. The people who truly care about you will respect your choices, even if they don't always understand them. And the people who don't, well, their approval was never worth chasing in the first place. At this stage of life, your priority should be your own well-being, not fitting into someone else's idea of what you should be. You've earned the right to live authentically, without apology. So, the next time you catch yourself worrying about what someone might think, stop, take a breath, and remind yourself, their opinion doesn't pay your bills, improve your health, or bring you peace. It's just noise. Let it go. Focus on what truly matters, your happiness, your health, and your peace of mind. Because when you stop living for approval, you start living for yourself. And that's when life finally feels like yours. Number 4, take care of your health and mind. Let's be honest. Without your health, nothing else really matters. After 70, your body isn't as forgiving as it once was. The aches last longer, the energy runs out faster, and stress, it takes a much heavier toll. But here's the good news. You're not powerless. In fact, you have more control over your well-being than you might think. The key: stop waiting for things to get worse before you start taking care of yourself. First, let's talk about physical health. It's not about running marathons or lifting heavy weights. It's about staying mobile and keeping your body strong enough to enjoy life. A short walk every day, gentle stretching in the morning, drinking enough water, eating real, nourishing food instead of processed junk. These small habits don't just add years to your life, they add life to your years. Think about it. Do you want to spend your 70s, 80s, and beyond sitting on the sidelines, watching life pass you by? Or do you want to stay active, independent, and able to enjoy the simple pleasures, like playing with your grandkids, traveling, or just getting out of bed without pain? But health isn't just physical. Mental well-being matters just as much. If you don't protect your peace, stress and negativity will eat away at your happiness. That's why it's so important to set boundaries. Say no to people who drain your energy. Avoid toxic conversations. And most importantly, be kind to yourself. Stop dwelling on past mistakes. You can't change what's already happened, but you can decide how much power it has over you. Forgive yourself. Move forward, and focus on what you can control, like how you spend your time and who you spend it with. And don't underestimate the power of mental stimulation. Your brain needs exercise, just like your body. Read books, do puzzles, learn something new, even if it's just for fun. It's not about becoming an expert. It's about keeping your mind sharp and curious. Now let's talk about rest. So many people wear exhaustion like a badge of honor. But after 70, rest isn't laziness, it's smart self-care. Good sleep, quiet moments, time to recharge. These aren't luxuries, they're necessities. And here's the most important part. Taking care of yourself isn't selfish, it's survival. If you don't prioritize your well-being, no one else will. You've spent decades caring for others. Now it's time to care for yourself. So start today. Move your body, quiet your mind, eat well, rest deeply, and protect your peace like your life depends on it, because it does. Remember, health isn't just about avoiding illness. It's about feeling good enough to truly enjoy the time you have left. And you deserve nothing less. Number 5, choose yourself, not others. Let's get something straight. If you don't choose yourself, no one else will. That might sound harsh, but it's the truth. After 70, you've earned the right to stop living for other people's expectations and start living for you. Think about it. How many years have you spent putting everyone else first? Your family, your friends, your job, their needs, their wants, their problems. You gave and gave, believing that one day the kindness would come back around. But here's the reality. People move on. They get busy. They forget how much you sacrificed. Not because they're cruel, but because life doesn't pause to acknowledge your efforts. And if you keep waiting for someone to finally say, "Thank you for everything you've done," you'll wait forever. That's why choosing yourself isn't selfish, it's necessary. You've spent decades proving your worth to the world. Now it's time to prove it to yourself. Stop bending over backward to please people who don't appreciate it. Stop saying yes when you really want to say no. And stop feeling guilty for putting your own peace of mind first. Choosing yourself means setting boundaries and actually sticking to them. It means surrounding yourself with people who uplift you, not those who drain your energy or make you feel small. It means spending your time in ways that bring you joy, whether that's reading, traveling, gardening, or simply sitting quietly with your thoughts. And let's talk about guilt for a second, because it's the number one thing that stops people from prioritizing themselves. You might think, but I can't just walk away from people who need me. Here's the truth: you can. And sometimes you should. If someone only shows up when they want something, if they ignore your boundaries, if they make you feel unappreciated or exhausted, that's not love. That's exploitation. And you don't owe anyone your peace. Choosing yourself also means letting go of the need for approval. Whether it's your kids, your friends, or society at large, you don't need their permission to live life on your terms. If they don't like your choices, that's their problem, not yours. Think of it this way. Every time you say yes to something that drains you, you're saying no to something that could have brought you peace, happiness, or fulfillment. And at this stage in life, you can't afford to waste your most precious resource, time, on things that don't nourish your soul. So, what does choosing yourself actually look like? It's taking that trip you've always dreamed of, even if no one else wants to go. It's turning off your phone and enjoying a quiet evening without interruptions. It's walking away from conversations that leave you feeling worse, not better. It's waking up every morning and asking, what do I need today? And actually honoring the answer. Because here's the bottom line. If you don't put yourself first now, when will you? The clock isn't slowing down. The world isn't going to suddenly start prioritizing you. You have to do it. And you deserve to. You've spent a lifetime caring for others. Now it's time to care for the one person who's been with you through it all, yourself. After 70, choosing yourself is not selfish, it's clarity. You've spent your life caring for family, friends, and work. But now, if you don't prioritize yourself, who will? Start with the small things. In the morning, instead of rushing to tend to others, take 10 minutes just for you. Enjoy your coffee, listen to the birds, or simply breathe deeply. This isn't wasted time. It's an investment in your peace. When someone asks for something that drains you, remember, no is a complete sentence. You don't owe an explanation. And if a relationship only brings stress and sadness, you have every right to step back. Most importantly, live on your own terms. Take that painting class you always wanted. Travel alone if no one joins you. Or simply enjoy quiet afternoons on your balcony. Life after 70 should be about living for yourself, not for the expectations of others. When you choose yourself, you don't just find peace, you reclaim control over your life. After 70 years of living for others, this is the time to live for yourself, not to please anyone, not to prove anything. Remember, the time you have left is precious. Every day shouldn't be spent on meaningless worries or people who don't appreciate you. Instead, enjoy each moment. Do what you love, and take care of both your mind and body. Where are you from? If you agree with this message, share your thoughts or simply type number 9. Because sometimes, one small action can help someone find exactly what they need. Let's move on to another story. Have you ever wondered what really happens inside a nursing home? Is it truly the safe, comfortable place people believe it to be? Or are there hidden realities no one talks about? If the day comes when you or a loved one must enter a nursing home, are you sure you know the full truth before making that decision? Many older adults move into nursing homes expecting convenience, care, and peace of mind. But what if reality is different from what you imagined? Losing independence, unexpected costs, overwhelming loneliness. These factors can change your life in ways you never expected. Today, meet Eleanor, an 82-year-old woman who has first-hand experience with the hidden struggles of nursing home life. Her story reveals shocking truths that everyone needs to hear before making one of the biggest decisions of their later years. Stay tuned. This could change everything you thought you knew. Number 1. The loss of independence. Eleanor always believed that moving into a nursing home would provide her with a secure, comfortable, and worry-free life. She pictured a place where she wouldn't have to worry about household responsibilities, no more cooking, cleaning, or home maintenance. But what she didn't anticipate was how much control she would lose over her own daily life. At first, the differences seemed minor. She could no longer choose precisely when to wake up, eat her meals, or go for a walk outside. But as the days turned into weeks, she came to a painful realization. Her entire routine was no longer her own. If she wanted fresh air, she had to wait for a staff member to assist her. If she craved a snack at an unscheduled time, she had to go without. Even personal choices, like when to bathe or what to wear, were dictated by a rigid facility schedule that prioritized efficiency over personal comfort. One of the hardest parts was the feeling of helplessness. Back at home, Eleanor had the freedom to start her mornings however she pleased. She could sip her favorite tea by the window, read a book, or take a quiet walk in the early sun. But now, she found herself spending long stretches of time sitting idly, waiting for assistance rather than actively making choices for herself. Her once vibrant and independent lifestyle slowly faded away. She moved less, relied more on caregivers, and soon, she felt her strength and mobility slipping away. The worst part wasn't just losing control over the big decisions, Eleanor reflected. It was the small, everyday choices. What time I wake up, whether I want to take a nap in the afternoon, how I spend my evenings. I felt like I was losing myself, piece by piece. The emotional toll was just as devastating as the physical consequences. Relying on others for even the smallest necessities made her feel like a burden. She started withdrawing from social activities, her once outgoing nature dulled by a growing sense of sadness and detachment. The loss of control over her life eroded her confidence, and with it, her motivation to engage with the world around her. But the impact of losing independence extended beyond just Eleanor. She noticed how other residents, once strong and self-sufficient, began to withdraw as well. Many who had been physically active in their own homes now spent much of their time in wheelchairs or sitting in common areas, disengaged from the life they once knew. The strict, impersonal routines of the nursing home did not nurture individuality. They reduced people to just another name on a chart, another task to be completed. What Eleanor wants others to understand is that independence isn't just about being able to walk unassisted or make big life decisions. It's about dignity, self-respect, and the ability to live on one's own terms. Once that independence is taken away, a vital part of life disappears with it. Before choosing a nursing home, she urges others to ask themselves, how will you maintain a sense of autonomy? Will you have choices in how you spend your time? Will your voice still matter in your own daily life? These questions matter more than any promise of comfort or convenience because, in the end, retaining control over the little things is what truly keeps life meaningful. Number 2. The real cost of nursing home care. When Eleanor first moved into a nursing home, she believed the cost would be straightforward, a fixed monthly fee covering everything she needed. However, she quickly discovered that the financial reality was far more complex and burdensome than she had ever imagined. At first, everything seemed reasonable. The advertised price covered basic accommodations, meals, and general care. But as weeks turned into months, Eleanor and her daughter noticed a troubling pattern. Additional fees creeping in, many of which were never clearly explained up front. There was a charge for everything, Eleanor recalled. Help with dressing, extra fee. Mobility assistance, another charge. Medication management, that wasn't included either. Even therapy sessions came at an additional cost. These seemingly small add-ons accumulated rapidly, turning what appeared to be a manageable monthly expense into an overwhelming financial strain. What many families fail to realize is how quickly these costs escalate. Eleanor's daughter had assumed insurance would cover most of it, but that assumption was shattered once the bills started arriving. We thought we had planned well, Eleanor admitted, but we were blindsided by hidden costs we hadn't anticipated. Beyond the structured fees, there were numerous hidden expenses that added to the burden. My daughter had to pay for my personal hygiene products, additional clothing, and even fees for transportation when she wanted to visit me, Eleanor said. It wasn't just about affording the nursing home itself. It was about all the little things that added up. Yet, the most devastating cost wasn't financial. It was emotional. Eleanor saw the weight of worry on her daughter's face, the stress of juggling unexpected expenses while ensuring her mother received proper care. I started feeling guilty, Eleanor admitted. I didn't want to be a financial strain on my family, but there was nothing I could do. It made me question if I had made the right decision in moving here. Eleanor's experience serves as a cautionary tale. The true cost of a nursing home extends far beyond the advertised price. Families need to thoroughly investigate what is included, what additional services will cost, and how much insurance will realistically cover before making such a life-altering decision. Her advice: don't just glance at the base price. Demand a full breakdown of potential costs and prepare for unexpected expenses. The financial burden of a nursing home can be much greater than you think. Number 3. The mental and emotional toll of nursing home life. When Eleanor moved into a nursing home, she expected a place where she would feel secure, cared for, and surrounded by companionship. What she hadn't anticipated was the overwhelming sense of isolation that would settle in, an unexpected loneliness that lingered despite being surrounded by people. At first, Eleanor remained hopeful. She envisioned lively conversations, shared experiences, and a newfound community among residents. But reality quickly painted a different picture. You don't realize how isolating it can be until you're sitting in your room, day after day, with no one to talk to, Eleanor admitted. One of the greatest emotional challenges she faced was the absence of meaningful connections. Many residents, including Eleanor, longed for deep, engaging conversations but found it difficult to build those relationships. Most of the people around me were dealing with their own struggles, she explained. Some were too unwell to socialize, while others had withdrawn into themselves. The days stretched on, marked by routine rather than spontaneity. Some moments felt as though she had faded into the background, unnoticed in the crowd of residents who, like her, were trying to adjust to an unfamiliar way of life. Even though the nursing home staff was kind and professional, their interactions were often brief and task-oriented. Eleanor appreciated their assistance, but it never truly replaced the warmth of heartfelt conversations. It wasn't about neglect, she said, but no one really had time to sit and talk. I miss those small but significant moments, the ones that remind you you're still seen and valued. As time passed, the weight of isolation took a serious toll on her mental well-being. She began losing motivation, no longer feeling the same eagerness to engage with the world around her. The days started to blur together, she said. I felt like I was disappearing, as if my presence didn't truly matter anymore. This emotional decline led to increased anxiety, occasional panic, and even mild depression. Without regular mental stimulation and social engagement, Eleanor found herself withdrawing more and more. She realized how essential small joys were: unexpected visits, spontaneous laughter, or a simple shared story. These elements, which had once made life feel vibrant, now felt out of reach. What Eleanor wants others to understand is that being surrounded by people doesn't always equate to feeling connected. While nursing homes can meet physical needs, they often overlook the emotional and psychological aspects of aging. Her message is clear. Don't underestimate the mental and emotional toll of losing daily interactions with friends, family, and community. Before making this decision, consider how you will maintain a sense of connection and purpose. Loneliness is not just an emotion. It's a serious condition that can impact your overall health just as much as any physical ailment. The next part of this video is now available on my channel.